It's me again. Um, I really had no intention of making more than one video when I started out. But after a week and over 1,000 views, I'm kind of stunned, and not to mention people actually subscribe to me. I'm like, wow, people want to see more of this. So crazy. I thought, okay, what can I do with this? I mean, what can I do that's positive and helpful and not just bitching? I mean, there's certainly 20 years worth of things I could bitch about, but there's also a lot of good stuff to say, and that's when it hit me. What would have been the most helpful thing to me when I left, if I could have heard it later, and even more after being disfellowshipped, which was actually after I left. Um, so here's a chance for those of you young people leaving now to learn from my mistakes. So here are a few lessons that I learned in my first few years out. Number one, worldly people are in general more ethical than Jehovah's Witnesses. I know, but stay with me here. Um, what do witnesses typically teach you about worldly people? They're depraved deviants with no morals. Anything goes, untrustworthy, ignorant, godless heathens who would be snuffed out at Armageddon and good riddance. Eh. If there were good people in the world, they would listen to us when we knocked on their doors and become Jehovah's Witnesses, right? But there was always this sense of urgency, like, we have to get all the good worldly people before Jehovah starts Armageddon. Hurry, the time is short. But sometimes I'd think, like, what's the hurry? I mean, wouldn't Jehovah, benevolent, all-knowing, all-powerful, etc., wait until we got to all the good people? Apparently not, but think about it. What an asshole move to know that there were still good people who could be saved and just purposely not give your people enough time to save them. He's kind of a jerk. But anyway, there's a point to this. It's about what we were taught and what was ingrained in those of us who were born in about worldly people. We as Jehovah's Witnesses were superior even if we aren't Jehovah's Witnesses anymore. See, we're still superior by virtue of our association with them in the past. I know that's messed up, but it's true. When I left, I was not very self-aware at all. I did not examine my own biases or subconscious notions, didn't even know they were there. I assumed, as many do, that worldly people had no morals and would accept anything I did as perfectly fine. Wrong. The first time I got called out for doing something questionable, and honestly, I don't even remember what it was, by a worldly friend, I was completely gobsmacked. Like, what? You are telling me that I'm wrong? That I did something not completely ethical? Yeah, it was ugly and it was stupid, but that's how you learn. And you know what? They were right. I learned from it. Worldly people, in general, are not as controlling as the Jehovah's Witnesses that you're used to. They may just be busy every time you call them from here on out if you act like a twat. They may or may not call you out. They may or may not try to teach you. They may or may not tolerate bullshit. But don't go in with the assumption that you're somehow morally superior, even if you've fallen off the Jehovah's Witness morality wagon, because you're not. Now, why would I say that worldly people are more ethical than Jehovah's Witnesses? Because they're certainly more honest. Not necessarily in ways that would give you the appearance of being more honest, but in real ways, like giving to charity, volunteering in your community. As a general rule, they're less apt to live a double life, and they're more likely to report a child molester to the police. And I will say that every single Jehovah's Witness congregation that I was ever involved in, there were more adulterous relationships than I can even begin to count. It was weird. The obsession with sex and weirdness it created, but that's another video. Also, I think about the whole Armageddon thing. Rejoicing over the majority of the world's population being murdered is kind of sick. When you think about it. Okay, anyway, second point, you know nothing. Seriously. You even think you know the Bible, but you don't even know that. I found that there were subtle differences in what I was taught versus what was actually there. Same with other stuff too. Odds are that you don't actually have any life skills if you're anything like me and getting out, in your early 20s, late teens. Your parents probably did not care one bit about your education. So if you were lucky enough to graduate high school, then you're doing great. Even better if you managed to learn a trade or get some job training. That's awesome. But listen to me now. Get your education. Go to an accredited school or a community college or university if you want and learn everything you can. An education and a good therapist are the two best investments you can make in yourself in your life. Can't afford it? Yes, you can. There are ways. Loans, grants, tuition remission programs, job-related tuition programs. I did it, okay? I did it. I got an entry-level administrative job at a university, and I used their employee tuition benefit to get my degrees. Do it. And it doesn't have to be college. Plumbers make a ton of money if they're any good at it. So do mechanics, landscapers, contractors, HVAC people, people who paint cars. You cannot afford not to do this. This is the single most important thing you can do for yourself. It's the key to being successful and defying the expectations that the Jehovah's Witnesses have set up for you. The thing I will say about college is that it gives you the time and space that you're going to need in order to grow up, grow out of your Jehovah's Witness shell. You need to give yourself that time, whether you go to college or not. But college provides this really great structure for it because you're surrounded by other people who are in the same boat. Not quite so severely as you may be, but they're there. You're not going to crash and burn unless you decide to. Trust me. Now, you might be tempted to skip the therapist part. Don't. Especially if you're abused in any way or if you have a hard time with boundaries. And if you're raised Jehovah's Witness, you probably do. You're going to need help with this. I know I did. Realizing, number one, that your business is your business and you don't have to tell anybody. Learn how to put up your fence in your life and defend it when you need to. It's very important. No's not a bad word. You have the right to refuse to tell people details about your life. You have the right to walk away from abusive relationships. You have the right to stand up for yourself. You have rights that you have not even contemplated yet. Do yourself a favor. Talk to somebody qualified. Okay. So number 3 is the big one that you probably thought was going to be number 1. Sex and dating are a minefield for XJWs. It's probably the first thing you're likely to dive into and possibly what got you out in the first place. My advice to you is get it out of your system. Do it. Do it alone. Do it with a friend. Do it with 2 or 3. Safely. Safely, please. Learn what it's about. Learn what you're about. But be smart about it. Don't hurt anyone, including yourself. Now, ladies, this part's for you. I know that as a Jehovah's Witness, the most important thing that you could possibly do is be spiritual, submissive, and pretty. But not in that order. Pretty's the most important. In the real world, that's going to make you a sitting duck, okay? There are bad people everywhere, including the Jehovah's Witness congregations, and they can smell a well-conditioned victim from miles away. Like it or not, if you're a born-in Jehovah's Witness girl, that is what you are. Be careful who you surround yourself with. And remember, you can't get by on being pretty. It's nice. It'll work for a little while, but we have an expiration date for that crap, and it's a lot sooner than you think. Now, single guys, this is for you. You might be used to being extra special, especially if you're cute, since there are so few of you and so many women in the congregation. Get over it, buddy. You're not going to be the head of the household. You aren't going to get any extra points for just being male, and you are no longer a commodity in the real world. That's just how it works. There are lots of men and lots of women out there, and there are going to be people who view you as a sitting duck too. Don't fall for it. Be very careful. And both of you, slow down. Don't rush into a marriage, even if you happen to get pregnant. Get married only when you are sure that that's what you want to do. And that's what both of you want to do. Okay, 4th point. Go easy on the drugs. Look, I know it can be fun sometimes, and you're very curious about it. And I'm not opposed to a few drinks now and then. I think marijuana needs to be legalized immediately. But be careful. The very last thing you need is to get addicted or to overdose or get arrested or go to jail. You don't need any extra distractions either. And drugs are probably the single biggest thing that are going to make you a self-fulfilling prophecy with the J-Dubs. Crash and burn, and the Jehovah's Witnesses will say, I told you so, I told you so. Now, I'm not saying not to try anything because that would be stupid. I'm saying be very careful. Drugs and addiction can make people do things that they really regret later if it doesn't kill them, especially inexperienced people who don't know how the world works. They also make it much easier for people to take advantage of you, and you want to stay in control of your own life, trust me. The next thing is, be very, very careful with religion. There's a lot of ex-Jehovah's Witnesses who jump immediately from one religious mania to another. Becoming a Baptist or a Holy Roller is not going to work out any better for you. Trust me. It's okay to believe. It's okay to go to other churches. In fact, I think it's a good idea to see the truth about what's out there and learn that, your typical Methodist isn't going to church on Sunday eating babies. I mean, church isn't a dangerous place usually. If you find a church that you like and you want to go there and join, good for you. But don't jump in with both feet. Be very careful. Don't get sucked into something that's effectively the same as what you left and think you're doing something different. I fell into that trap several times. Okay. Finally, find your fears and face them. This is another big, important one. Because if your experience was anything like mine, it includes lots of really lurid and scary stories about demons. When I look back on it, I can't really understand what was actually so scary about demons. I mean, in all the stories people told, all they really ever did was flip light switches and make vomiting noises, and my 3-year-old can do that. My biggest fear, though, when I got out, was demons, and this is before my big realization that really none of that crap is real, but we'll get to that another time. I was actually terrified for a really long time, especially since I was told outright that I was demonized. So, being who I am, one day I just got fed up and I said, fine, you want me, Satan? Come get me. Come on, come get me. I started systematically watching all the movies that I was never supposed to watch. I got my tarot cards read. I played Ouija board with my new worldly friends, and I wore a cross necklace and bought stuff at yard sales. I mean, you name it. You know what happened? Nothing. Zilch. Zip. Except I was really disappointed. Like, the movies, Poltergeist, and what was the one with the little girl with the pea soup and the spinning, her name was The Exorcist. The Exorcist was not scary at all. It was a disappointment. It was actually sort of funny to me. But it was an eye-opener because nothing happened. Like, nothing at all. So find out what you're afraid of. Learn about it. Figure yourself out. Face it down. Because you're in charge. And you are the one who's in control of your choices, your reactions, and your behavior. Also, if you happen to live with a Jehovah's Witness relative, you need to take steps to gain your independence under your own power as soon as you possibly can. Get your education. Find yourself a good job. Make some friends. Save for your retirement and enjoy your life. The bottom line is, you get one shot at this. And if you get your shit together, nothing bad is going to happen to you. It's not easy, but it is so worth it. So take a deep breath and get out there.